Hi guys, it's Ellen and today I have a new junk journal spread to share with you. So recently in the UK we celebrated VE Day, and as we were in lockdown and we were all a bit sick of it in my house, we decided to really celebrate the day. So that's what I'm going to be journaling about today. So this was really fun because I got to use lots of vintage ephemera. I have some pieces that were from the war. I've got lots of different specifically British ephemera pieces that I thought would be really cool to use in this spread. So the first thing I'm doing is I have these old advertisements from newspapers. They're really, really old, and I absolutely love how they look. I'm not entirely sure if these are British or American, or I don't really know where they came from, but I got them from an Etsy shop called Dotty Croc Vintage, I believe. I'll try and remember to link her Etsy shop down below. So I thought these would be perfect for layering onto my background, and the things I picked were sort of things that could have been used in the war. So I used some binoculars, and another advert was for, I think there was a compass, but yes, I thought they looked kind of military to me. So so I've collaged them onto my 2 pages using matte gel medium, and then you can see to the right of me there's that little white pocket. I can't remember where that's from. I can check though, so if you want to know where that's from, just ask me down below and I'll try and find it out for you. But where I wanted to stick that on the page, there was sort of blank space either side, so I've covered that up with some washi tapes. I've got a really thick one that I just got from AliExpress, and that's green, and that worked really well because I'm going for a blue and green spread with this one. And then I also used some Tim Holtz washi tape from the Ideology Remnants collection, and I've just used that around the page, and then that's on the left hand page. So on the right hand page I just added random spots of the washi tape to tie it all in together. So then I've taken that pocket that I mentioned before, and it was stark white, so I wanted to make it more vintage, and then I decided rather than just making it vintage, I would actually colour it in. So I've got loads of the paper artsy infusions. These are really similar to Lindy's magical powders, but they don't have any glitter in, but I actually prefer these. They're so pretty and a really, really good price. I got mine from Paper Maze, and yeah, I think I brought them all. I absolutely love them. So I used 2 different colours, the sage and slate blue, and I've just sprinkled them on the page, added water, mixed them over the page, and then I've left that to dry because I want to add some on the back as well. So while that's drying, I have a postcard here. The postcard itself isn't vintage, but it has a vintage poster printed on it from one of the wars. I don't know which one, I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of history knowledge, so I'm not entirely sure if it was the correct war or anything, but it worked for me. So I trimmed that down, and that is what's going to go inside my pocket once I put that back together. So on the back of that I've added some vintage paper, and I'll also add some washi tape as well to cover up that corner that I've got peeking through. And yeah, this is just going to be a good place to put some photos, and yeah, as I said, the postcard was from one of the wars, so I thought that would work. Also over the background and over this postcard I'm adding some stenciling with some of my Tim Holtz Distress ink, and I used faded jeans and peeled paint. So that is a green and blue that I thought would work. So the front side of my pocket has dried, so I can work on the part of the inside that you will see. I hope I'm making sense here. So I've just used the same colours, so again the sage and slate blue of the paper artsy infusions, and I'm just adding them onto the other side, because when I've put the pocket back together, as you can see here, you can see part of the inside. So yeah, I attached all of the pocket back together. I've sewed around it, and I've also added some old lace through the holes in the pocket, and I added some more of that wide washi tape. And I'm really like how this looked. The colours together just worked really well. I was really pleased with that. So on the front of that, I'm going to add a old vintage photograph. This was from the same Etsy shop, so Dotty Croc Vintage. And again, I'm not entirely sure this is from the war, but it looks like there's men in uniforms, so that was good enough for me. So I've just trimmed that down and stuck that on to the front of the pocket. And again, I was really pleased with this. It works really well in my opinion. So I'm ready to stick my pocket onto the page now. And I'm just using double-sided tape because there's not loads of texture on the back of my page, so I thought it wouldn't really matter too much. And yeah, sticking that onto the left-hand side of my page. And it was at this point I was really pleased I went for those colours because I don't know, I really like how they worked out. I was really happy with them. So I've then going to work on the back of that postcard, and I've got my photos from our VE Day celebrations, and I'm going to start adding them to my page. So like I said, this was in lockdown, so I spent the day with Henny, who was staying with us in lockdown, and also my mum and my brother, and we made scones, and we had Victoria sponge cake, and we played Monopoly, and yeah, we just had a mini party, just the 4 of us. So I took a few photos from that I want to add. I also printed off a poster that was for VE Day. I think I found this on Pinterest. So that's going to go on the right hand side of my page, and underneath that there's a really small black and white photo that I found. That was actually the photo that they used in the newspapers when they announced that it was VE Day. So everybody was having street parties, I believe, and that's what that is from. So yeah, I've stuck 2 of my photos on the back of that postcard, and I'm just inking around the edges, and I think I used the blue, the faded jeans to do that. Yeah, that is the blue. And yeah, so I'm just going to go through and figure out where I want all of the remaining photos to go. I also made these hats for VE Day. We really didn't have a lot to do in lockdown, so we made party hats. And rather than throw them away, I thought I would keep one and back one of the photos using that. So obviously it has the colours in it that work well with the poster that I've got on the right hand page. And the rest of my photos I'm just going to back with vintage paper, so like tea stained papers or vintage book papers, just really muted colours so that the other colours on the page really stand out. And yeah, I'll just figure out where I want all of those to go. So here I've got all of my photos stuck down, and I'm going through my Tim Holtz ephemera and just picking out some things to fill in some gaps. So there is some sort of British things. So there was the Union Jack. There's also a really small picture that looks like it could be in wartime. If any of this isn't from the correct time or anything, I'm sorry, I don't know enough about it really. I just wanted it to look like it was from the war. And then the final thing I'm going to do is go through the various Tim Holtz sticker sheets that I have, the tiny word stickers, and again just pick out pieces that will work. I really like the ones I'm using here because they are really vintage looking, and they're all different fonts and they don't really match, and I really like that look in my junk journal. So once I've chosen a few of them that I think will work, that's my page all finished. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, thank you very much for being here. Bye guys!